Assassin's Creed Black Flag is arguably the greatest Assassin's Creed game to ever release, and people hold it high on the list of AC games. Released in 2013, it took the world by storm as the top pirate game on the shelves, and sold 15 million copies, quickly becoming a fan favorite. Fast forward to 2026, and Ubisoft is in a dark state. The status of the company and the Assassin's Creed series has left a lot to be desired. Then, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resync was announced and the world exploded. The best Assassin's Creed game has returned with a fresh paint and brand new missions. Everything they showed about this game looked amazing, but now that the game has been released, is it worth it, or is it just another cash grab? Can nostalgia bring Ubisoft back from the brink? The game has a super amount of highs. The combat is extremely satisfying and smooth, but with the full remake comes its caveats. It does have the benefits of the 4K 60 FPS with the full power of the PS5 Pro. There was little to no frame rate drops, and the gameplay stayed smooth even during the most demanding parts of the gameplay. The return of Edward Kenway was like John Wick returning to his life of the assassin because of how this guy was moving in the remake. A lot of people argued the game felt too easy, but in all honesty, it felt amazing. The feeling of being overpowered is exactly what Edward was feeling like, and it made sense for how dangerous he was supposed to be represented. The parkour was definitely decent, and you could pull off some pretty cool moves while running across rooftops and running away from guards. The double takedowns will always be cool, especially coming off of the Ezio trilogy. Having that level of being able to take down two guards at one time will always make it feel good. And the tools at your disposal was definitely making you feel like a badass pirate. The naval combat was also massively overhauled, and I absolutely enjoyed the feeling of taking down multiple ships as you went. Getting upgrades as you went also made you do way more damage, and you felt like the king of the seas. The pirate king, so to speak. Keeping the original where you could just jump from your ship, swim to another one, and take it out that way without even activating naval combat will always be a fun mechanic. The customization options for the game were also very well done. The variety for your assassin outfit and for your ship were very awesome, and I loved the many cameos and Easter eggs involved with the additions. The game also looked incredible. Using the power of the PS5 Pro, this is definitely the best looking Assassin's Creed game that has ever been released, and the underwater exploration was some of the best and expansive. Unfortunately, with positives, there's also a lot of negatives with the game that have to be addressed. Previously, I spoke about the smoothness of the gameplay and the 60 FPS. While this was incredible in its own right and definitely extremely smooth, the performance was anything but perfect. The game had heavy performance issues, and even with the few patches that the game got, it only seemed to get worse as the updates went out. The glitches, the bugs, all of it was extremely frustrating. Whether it was the parkouring or the synchronization, it just did not do what it was supposed to do. Every time I would go to a viewpoint, sink, and then jump down, the game would bug out and I would float several feet before I had to roll out of the glitch. There were times getting out of combat that I would be stuck in the hidden blade animation where Edward looked like he was ready to choke somebody with nobody there. The awareness for the guards was also frustrating because you would escape the view, run into a bush or something similar, and instead of becoming anonymous, you would be found out immediately because they would start searching the bush that you were in, and it's like, what was the point of hiding? Speaking of the guards, the takedowns didn't even make sense. The point of the combat is if you parry the attack, you could take down 3 or 4 people in one swift movement, depending on what outfit or weapon you had. However, 9 out of 10 guards just blocked your shit and dodged out of the way. Like, what was the point of a mechanic if you can't use it half the time? This goes with the special movements too, like kicking the enemy or taking their legs out from underneath them and eliminating. Half the enemies of the game don't fall for this, and you can't even use it. They'll just grab you, throw you, or jump out of the way, or parry you. And it's just very frustrating that even the minor of enemies were blocking it, not even just the brutes. Also, to this regard, the tools, like the hanging on tree branches and stuff like that, you couldn't do multiple of it because the moment you hang someone, even if it was a stealth takedown, they would just find you out and you couldn't do anything. The fast travel was also super buggy, and most times it was locked for no reason, and you had to sail a little bit before it would allow you to fast travel, and when you would attempt to fast travel, it would crash the game, and you had to go back. I had multiple game crashes, and each time made me more and more frustrated. I went for the platinum, and multiple times during the journey, I wanted to jump out my window with how absolutely awful it was. The grind and the RNG trophies made the experience extremely frustrating, and if it wasn't for how long I had put into the game at that point, I would have given up earlier if I had known. There's no reason that RNG trophies should exist, but when they do, it makes everything about the game miserable. The fleet trophies and the burning ship in particular made me not want to touch the game at all. The legendary ships, on the other hand, was the most rageful thing ever. You had to be 100% leveled up Jackdaw-wise to even have a chance at getting to fight them, and there was so much extra stuff involved in upgrading your ship that at that point it just felt super tedious, and in the end it was dragged on. I could talk about hours about the performance, the state of the game, but just to sum it up with how extremely annoying it ended up being, and by the time I got the platinum, I never wanted to touch this game ever again. Overall, with these issues aside, the game was still very fun, but it loses a lot of points because of it, setting it at my 4th or 5th favorite Assassin's Creed game, but nowhere in my top 5 games of the year. As my writing of this review, the game has surpassed 3 million copies, and I really want to see which game gets the remake treatment next. With the experience of the game, I have to give it about a 6.5 out of 10. Unfortunately, wish I could give it a higher score, but performance definitely holds this game back. If you like the original Black Flag and it is your favorite game that they've released, you should definitely get it. Otherwise, I'd wait for a sale or for when they fix a lot of the bugs that are happening. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resync is now available on PS5, Xbox, and Steam. If you enjoyed this review and you want to see more videos and reviews, please consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.